And don't forget, you gotta turn off your notifications.
It's automatically off at 7. No, actually, 7. No, I don't. Why is it not breaking? Okay, well, I'll try and figure that out later, or at least after this. We now have headphones, so we want to allow we want speaker. Now talk, sorry.
Yikes. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
It does automatically unmute.
doesn't make sense, we're continuing our thankfulness series, obviously leading up to Thanksgiving. Let me pull this up here. There we go. Tonight we're talking about when thankfulness doesn't make sense. There we go. When thankfulness doesn't make sense, turn to, you've never been here before, Habakkuk. Habakkuk chapter 3. Habakkuk. I don't know how you say it. One more coon for y'all. Oh my gosh. I had so much fun with this.
How do you not know how to say Habakkuk? Habakkuk.
I don't know.
You.
Habakkuk?
Habakkuk.
It's a whole argument. Some people, the pastor calls it Habakkuk. Ryan says it's Habakkuk.
He says Habakkuk.
Habakkuk.
Yeah. Which is just wrong.
Celebrate one
I don't know.
rainy. It's
Look
when
at
they
the
come
table
back.
content.
Hold on, I gotta look in for a second. Where this book is at, bro.
The Bible
Oh, I
app
found it.
got 1 billion Bible installs. No
It's
way.
Habakkuk.
Hunter, why are you there?
I like this seat better than these rock forward ones.
I was thinking the same thing.
Am I in the way? I'm not in the way.
No, but
All right, reel it in, pay attention. Everybody there, if you're there, look at me so I know you're there. Rachel's not where it's at either.
My friend Ray comes back at thing. Give us your table of contents.
She can't find it because she can't find Mike.
it's right before
We make
Matthew.
great muffins.
It's after Genesis.
It's after Genesis, before Revelation. Yeah.
When thankfulness doesn't make sense, have you ever had a moment in your life where you're like, honestly, I don't really feel like I have a lot to be thankful for right now? Anybody been there?
Yeah.
My truck being broke down makes me feel that way right now. Very angry about my truck. Tonight we're going to read about a story about a man in the Bible talking about when you really don't have something to thank for, how to be thankful, how to work through that. So, verse 17, Rachel, chapter 3, sorry. Chapter 3, verse 17, Rachel, verse 18, Madeline. Ooh. Go ahead, Rachel.
Although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vine, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the field shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stall.
Here the author's talking about a lot of things going bad. Put yourself in Bible times, right? Olden times of what you live off of, how you survive. He says, the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall the fruit be in the vines, no fruit being grown. The labor of the olive shall fail, his farming efforts have failed. The field shall yield no meat, his hunting efforts have failed. The flock shall be cut from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. He's saying, nothing in my life is right. There is nothing good. Everything I survive on, every blessing I have, everything I rejoice in, everything that is good is non-existent. It's failing. But then he continues in verse 18 and says, yet, that word yet being an important word, I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. Tonight we're going to talk about how to find joy, how to be thankful when it doesn't make sense to. Let's pray and we'll get into it. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for letting us be at church today. Just the fact that we get to live in this country and go to church, that we have a youth group to have fun with, Lord, and play games, Lord, that we have families that prioritize getting us here. It means we have so much to be thankful for. Lord, but I understand that I'm human, Lord. I know what it's like sometimes to feel like you just hit rock bottom and there's not much to be thankful for. Lord, but make this lesson, this chapter remind us that there's always something to be thankful for, and you are a good God. Well, thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. Number one, when everything seems empty. We've already reread verse 17, but here he lists out so many different things that could take your thankfulness away, take your joy away. He lists a total loss: no crops, no fruit, no flocks. For us, that could mean when things don't go your way, when your prayers feel unanswered, or here's a big one, especially for teenagers, when life just simply feels unfair. You ever just feel like you can't catch a break? Feel like whatever you touch withers. Whatever you try to do fails, and then you look around. That's oftentimes an issue that teenagers have, that I was guilty of, is looking at other people's lives. It's freezing me. Looking at other people's lives and saying, man, everything's working out perfect for them. They have friends, they have a boyfriend, they have a girlfriend, their family's so great, they got a new car, they live in a nice house, and we compare, and then we look back at our life and we act as if we convince ourselves that we don't have anything to be thankful for. I have that moment sometimes with things I pray for. I'm like, Lord, I'm praying hard. Lord, I'm asking people to pray for me. God, I'm bringing this to you, and you're not answering the way I want you to answer. Keyword with the way I want him to answer. And I look at God and I say, God, I'm trying to serve you. I'm trying to love you. Why aren't you answering my prayer? Lord, that's not fair, Lord. I try to do these things. The devil brings that to my mind. Things go wrong in my life, and I start making a list and almost wanting to give it to God. Like, God, I do this. God, I do that. God, I serve here. God, I minister there. And it's like I'm trying to convince God to bless me or give me something to be thankful for. And I'm trying to remind him, and God knows all those things. And those shouldn't even come to my mind. But I compare and I say it's not fair. It's not fair that this or that happens. It's not just something that happens as a teenager. It's something as an adult that you go through. You look at people's blessings, right? Especially when you're like me and Rachel, even though I'm 30 and she's 1 year away from being 30 now. You do compare to other young couples. You're saying, how did they get that nice of a house? How do they drive that nice of a car? How does this or that happen to them? Some couples have to go through wondering why they can't get pregnant or why they can't have children. That can break you. You can feel empty. And you forget about all that God's done for you. What is something that you say as a teenager that oftentimes I look at and I question? I don't understand why. Anybody transparent enough to say, this is something I struggle with, something I look at in my life and say, it's not fair. I don't have anything to be thankful for, right? Who's here from a broken home? Is it ever you look at other people's lives and say, why didn't I have that childhood? Why didn't my parents stay together, right? What about this? Anybody ever wondered, why am I not a good athlete, or why do I try hard in school and I only make B's and C's and they don't even try and they get A's, right? Why do they have this or that? And you feel empty about it. You feel like you're missing out. I love this quote. It says, thankfulness isn't ignoring pain. Isn't ignoring the problems you have. Thankfulness isn't ignoring pain. It's choosing faith in the pain. It's choosing what you don't understand, what you struggle with, what's hard in life, to just have faith that God has a reason for that. That God has a purpose for allowing that in your life. It's not acting as if it doesn't exist. You realize it's a reality and you don't like it, but it's choosing to say, hey, God has a purpose, God has a plan in this. I've used the illustration before, but when I was 17 years old, being moved from my childhood home, friends and everything, I didn't like it. I didn't want to move away from my best friends, from my church, from my youth group. All these things that I knew and loved, I didn't want to move away. And God worked, and my dad took a job here, and I had to move in my beginning of my senior year to a place I didn't know, people I didn't know, right? Had some of the best, I had some of the best friends somebody could ask for. Enjoyed my childhood. But I didn't, in that moment, I wasn't thankful. I felt like everything had been ripped away from me, but I didn't even know how well God was working. God was about to bless me with so much more in a life that I couldn't even fathom. And you have to, in those moments, choose to have faith in it. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 is a great verse to write down. It says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God. That's a powerful verse. He's saying everything in your life is the will of God. The trials, the hardships, the betrayals, the hurt, the pain, the suffering, whatever it might be, God chose for a reason for that to be His will in your life. Got to, hope I don't embarrass, I got to have a good conversation with Madeline a few nights ago talking about just her childhood. And her and Reagan coming from a split home. And it was amazing to see how she's realized how God can work through those things and how she can make a difference and change things about her future and turn that into good. That was a wonderful moment getting to listen to hear her talk about that. You could be bitter. You could be angry about it. You could be mad at God. But instead, you look at those things and make the best of them. You don't have to understand why God allows those things. You just have to have faith in God that He's going to turn that into something good. So, how to find thankfulness when it doesn't make sense? Number one, when everything seems empty, choose to have faith in God. Just decide, I'm going to have faith in God. Even though I can't find anything to be thankful for, I'm choosing to put my faith in Him. Number two, choosing joy when you don't feel it. Who here wakes up every morning and you just feel joy? Not me. There's some days I'm joyful, right? Me and Rachel joked. Woke up on the wrong side of the bed. You know, why are you angry? Woke up grouchy. Woke up and Rachel says you woke up and chose violence this morning, right? Been there. Not everybody wakes up and just happy and joyful, and that's normal. But how do we choose to have joy when we don't feel that inside? It's very simple. The Bible talks about it. Verse 18, he said it there, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. Wait for it. It says, I will joy in the God of my salvation. He says, yet I will rejoice. That word yet changes everything. Changes everything. I could unload on Rachel and say, this happened, this happened, this happened, and this happened, going through this whole problem, and then I say, yet it actually all worked out perfectly. I offset all those problems and say, yet it worked out when God was working. Yet changes everything. And that's what the writer is trying to get you to understand here. He didn't wait for the blessings to return. He didn't say, okay, it's really bad right now, so I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to soak in this, I'm going to focus on why I don't have joy and why I'm not thankful and what blessings I lack. He says, I'm not going to do that. He says, I'm going to make the decision and I'm going to worship God anyway for what all He's done for me up until this point. The most important thing he says there is when he says, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, I will joy in the God of my salvation. Write this down too. Thankfulness is a choice, not a feeling. That's good. Thankfulness, being thankful, is a choice you make. It's not something you feel. Yes, there's moments we feel gratitude. You know, hopefully when you're sitting around the table with your family and you have a plate full of food and people you love are around you, you have a feeling of thankfulness. But you know, we can choose, make that decision to be thankful. Thankfulness is a choice, it's not a feeling. Real faith in God says, even if nothing works out, God is still worthy of my joy. God is still worthy of my thankfulness. God is still worthy of my praise and gratitude. If we're honest with ourselves, if we really sit down with a pen and paper and we draw a vertical line through it and we say, good, bad, pros, cons, thankfulness, complaints, that thankfulness, if we're honest, will get a lot longer than what we have to complain about. It's something my grandfather taught me. He was a businessman, he's very wealthy, very smart, wrote out contracts all the time for his work, and it would always go back to a pros and cons list. If I make this financial decision, what does it produce for me versus what could it risk? Trying to make a decision. He'd write it down on a notepad. So many times in our Christian life, if we just sit down and think about what all God's done for us, everything over here gets minimized. Everything we're struggling with, everything we're worried about gets minimized. I shared with you last week, there's been things going on in me and Rachel's life that's been stressful, that's been frustrating. But as soon as that doctor called and said, hey, what we thought was cancer is actually benign, it's fine, right? You don't have to worry about it. I could care less about the other stuff. Because I was so much rejoicing and thankful for that God said that. You have to find those things. Somebody list, what is something we can always praise God for? Something you say, hey, I might hit rock bottom, it may not be fair, I might be struggling, but God is always this. We live in America. Nate? Salvation. Very good, right? That's what he wrote there. Yet I will rejoice in my salvation. Dan? Bible. Very good. Somebody else? Anybody else? Something you say, I can always find joy in this. I can always find joy in the fact that I have a loving wife and I have healthy kids, right? Somebody else? Hunter?
Free will.
What?
Free will.
Free will. I thought you said females. No, free will. Free will, right? That you can make those decisions, right? What about this very building you're in right now, surrounded by these people? They have a church that you can go to. They have a youth group. They have the world's greatest youth pastor ever, right? That just loves you so much. We can always find things to be thankful for. It's a choice. When you're feeling down, you feel like you don't have anything to be thankful for, I challenge you, we're going to do it here in a minute, to write out some things that you're thankful for. Number 3, remember that God is still good when life isn't. God is still good when life isn't. That kind of piggybacks off of what we just talked about. He says, I will joy in the God of my salvation. God is good in the good times, the bad times, the mediocre times, the rough times, the trial times, the hard times. God is good. God is really good at being God. There's a saying, I'm drawing a blank now, God is good all the time God is good, right? There's a family friend we have, Jack and Daniel know him, his name was John Bishop. He had bacterial meningitis, really rough end of his life, and he was amazing all throughout his ministry how he kept his joy and he praised God for being good even when he was bedridden and sick. That's the type of joy and thankfulness I strive and hope I have one day, is that no matter what happens in my life, I can glory in God and what he's done for me. Somebody be brave enough right now to raise your hand and tell me your testimony. Just simple, plain testimony of how you got saved. Anybody? Start with Jack.
We were on family vacation in Louisiana, and my dad was preaching Wednesday night at Gospel Light Baptist Church. He preached on heaven and hell, and he called invitation. And my mom asked me if I wanted to go talk to him, so me and my dad went, and on the baptistry stairs, sang the hymn of salvation. I got saved, and then 2 weeks later, I was baptized again.
Very good. No matter where life takes you, what happens, that's enough to be thankful for forever. To keep your joy, your thankfulness up. Somebody else, what's your testimony? Somebody else. Hunter?
I was going to bed when my dad was playing with me. I was like 4, and so I was scared to think like monsters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so he told me not to be scared. I'm like, well, how can I not be scared? He's like, well, you got Jesus with you. You got salvation, so that means like you're saved and he'll be with you. I said, well, how do I be saved? And he told me how to be saved, and so we got saved. And then last year in December, I got baptized. I didn't find a place to get baptized for a while.
Right. Praise the Lord. I've never heard Hunter's testimony. That's a blessing. He told you not to be scared because you have Jesus with you. That's a thankfulness. Somebody else. Give me a girl. What's your testimony? I'll just start calling y'all out. Ariana?
Well, when I was first in Central Baptist Church, our Sunday school teacher, Michelle, who is my friend too, asked me and Bernice if we wanted to be saved, and Bernice went first, and I saw her, well, actually didn't went, I saw her, a happy face in her, well, you can tell when someone gets saved, like, I don't know, I saw it,
Yeah.
and then I wanted the same thing, so, I also went in there, she asked me what, I was like, what happened to her? She was like, oh, she got saved, I was like, what?
Wow.
But I was like, she got saved, what do you mean? And then she started telling me how I could have salvation and go to heaven. And then after that, I got reassurance of my salvation like 2 months after.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was telling my mom how scared I was of something, and she told me, well, why are you scared? I was like, it's because I didn't do it for the right motives. And then I got reassurance for my salvation.
That's amazing. I'll start with Bernice. Good job, Bernice. That's awesome, Lou. That's a great testimony. You should be able to find joy and thankfulness even in hard times, just the fact that you're saved. Somebody else? Anybody else want to share their testimony? We'll do one more guy, one more girl. Sammy?
This is a white elephant gift exchange.
See, white elephant is God.
For the Sunday school class, and so then Miss Joy Whitmore teach on heaven and hell. And that night I visited my dad on his bed and got salvation.
Very good. I like it. One more girl. Madeline?
When I was about 6 or 7. I was on purpose, I'm so sorry.
What? Oh.
I gave him 2 hands.
I do.
I'm
Okay,
so
good.
sorry, that was me.
I was like, what's Hunter doing back there?
I was on 6 or 7. We went to this church for a long time growing up. I remember always hearing the gospel, but like I didn't really understand. And one time I was just like, I was really like convicted I actually understood what they were talking about. So I got saved. And then in 9th grade, his dad was preaching at chapel about my church salvation.
Amen. Praise the Lord. I enjoy hearing those testimonies. The whole point of sharing those testimonies is even when everything else fails in life, aren't you thankful salvation never does? Salvation, we don't lose it. Salvation, we can always rejoice in it. When life is unstable, thankfulness anchors gathers us to the eternal truth that God's mercy never ends. Psalms 136:1 says, "Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good. His mercy endureth forever." A great verse to highlight. I'll say it again. "Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good. For his mercy endureth forever." Who here has ever heard the story of how the song "It Is Well With My Soul" was written? Some of you will probably be reminded of it. The writer of it was Horatio Spafford. He's a successful lawyer and a committed Christian. He wasn't just a regular secular man. He was a Christian, had a good family that was raising his family in Chicago during the 1800s. It's an amazing story, one of the most amazing hymns you'll hear. Him and his wife, Anna, were active in their church and had several children. I think they had 5 children. In 1871, tragedy first struck when their youngest son died of what they call scarlet fever. I don't know the details of it, but I don't remember, I'm not that old. But I know I've read before that it was like, it took a lot of children, but died of scarlet fever. And then later in the same year, the Great Chicago Fire broke out and destroyed their entire property. At that point in time, it was a cash system. They lost cash, they lost their investments, and pretty much their life was depleted. They were brought down to nothing. They had lost a son. It was him, his daughters, and his wife left. In 1873, this all happened to one man. He was seeking rest and restoration for his family and agreed to travel to a church in England to help the great D.L. Moody, you've heard Pastor talk about that, at a revival that had started. So Spafford planned to travel with his wife and his 4 daughters across the Atlantic. Due to last-minute business, he sent his family ahead on the ship, promising to follow soon. Tragically, the ship collided with another vessel and sank rapidly. All 4 of Spafford's daughters drowned, while his wife was among the few survivors. She later sent him a brief telegram from Wells that read, "Saved but alone." So he lost his son, years later lost his family, his investments, his business, and now he's had to, at the last second, jump off of his ship and catch another ship. He sent his family ahead, and he gets a telegram saying, "The ship's gone down, you've lost all your kids, your wife is alive yet alone." Horatio Spafford sailed across the Atlantic to reunite with his grieving wife. The captain informed him when they passed nearby the spot where the shipwreck occurred. In that moment of deep sorrow and faith, Spafford penned the words that became the beloved hymn, "It Is Well With My Soul." If you read those lyrics, for that man to go through what he did and then write the song, "It Is Well With My Soul," praising God for what he's done and what God was going to do. After everything had been taken away from him, next time you hear that song, think about it. Think about what he went through. He had the right mindset of how good God was, even when it didn't seem like things are good. Ask yourself tonight, what if, this is a good question to write down, I've heard it before. Ask yourself tonight, what if you thanked God not for what he's done, but simply who he is? What if you thanked God for not what he's done, but simply who he is? What if you are only able to keep the things in your life that you thanked God for today? What if everything that you did not thank God for today, you lost? I'll be honest. I wouldn't have a wife. I wouldn't have children. I wouldn't have a home. I don't know what I would have, because I don't know if I spent a moment in gratitude thanking God. But it's a good question to ask. I don't expect you every day of your life to go through a whole list thanking God. But it's a good question. Do we value God, and are we thankful and grateful for God for what he's done, or just simply who he is? It should be for what he is. I gave you a piece of paper earlier. I want to challenge you to write down 3 things they're thankful for that might hurt right now, that might be confusing right now, that might frustrate you right now, that might seem like a trial, whatever it is. I want you to write down, you don't have to show anybody, but write down on your paper, I'm thanking God for this trial. I'm thanking God for this hard time. I'm thanking God for this confusing situation. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel weird. I'm writing down, I'm thankful that my truck is broke down and it's a lot of money to fix. And that feels weird to write down. Right? I can't imagine a few weeks ago writing down certain things saying, I'm thankful for this. But think to yourself, what am I choosing today that I'm going to be thankful for that doesn't make sense? 3 things. And then after you get done with that, try to recall and think about something that you can thank God for that you thought was a trial, that you thought was hard, that you thought wasn't fair, and God turned it around. God made something of it that became a blessing in your life. Think about something that you can write down that falls in that category. So 3 things right now in this present moment you don't understand, doesn't make sense. But you're choosing to say, God, thank you for that. God, thank you that that friend hurt me. God, thank you that my parents are struggling right now. God, thank you for whatever it is. And then write down something, God, thank you that that situation worked out. Right? And then lastly, once you get done with that, write one more thing. Just write out, God, thank you for my salvation. Thank you for sending your son, eternal life through him. But thank him. This should be something we should be thankful for every day, that we should thank him for it. Give you a few more minutes. You don't have to finish tonight yet.
What was the thing after the 3 things?
The last thing, what do you mean?
You told us to write down 3 things.
Write down 3 things that you're thanking for God for right now that doesn't make sense. Thank God for something that he did that didn't make sense, and then for your salvation. Sammy, are you a lefty? Oh, you're right. Sorry, I was confused. It looked like you were right.
I know Caitlin's in that too.
I know. Left-handed people are freaks. Anybody else in here left-handed? No one in here left-handed? Couple more seconds. All right, let's close in prayer. If you've finished up, you can finish up later on. Maybe think about that. Put it on the dash of your car. Put it on your nightstand. Think about it through this week. Pray for it. I think if you take time to list out how good God is, you'll be in awe and realization of how much we have to be thankful for. Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for letting us be together tonight. Lord, I know just studying for this, you convicted me, Lord. Pray you'd help us to have a better heart of gratitude, thankfulness. There's so much we have to be thankful for. Thank you for how good of a God you are. Pray you just bless as we go our separate ways. Give the teenagers a good rest of the week of school. Give them rest, Lord. Help us to have a great Thanksgiving with family and friends. We thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. You're dismissed. Grab some tracks on the way.